Are you familiar with the Youngstown area? If so, you probably stopped, shopped, or have at least seen a fast track gas station in your area. Hello, all. My name is Aaron France, and I'm here to inform you all about several aspects of organizational communication that I've seen from my experiences at the Fast Track in McDonald, Ohio. Fast Track is a convenience store slash gas station chain based in Youngstown, Ohio. And for nearly 20 years, the mission at Fast Track has been to meet the growing needs of our consumers. In 2010, Fast Track was born and they purchased 15 more locations in the Youngstown, Ohio market, literally tripling the size of the company. To preview my presentation, I will talk about three main areas of analysis. The first area of analysis, focusing on organizational communication from their functional tradition and the meaning-centered approach. Next, the area of focus will be on the organization's communication through the use of theories and communication network rules. Finally, the last area of focus will be on the organization's communication through the concept of leadership power bases and its approaches to conflict. The first aspect of my presentation will be analyzing my communications organization through the functional tradition and the meaning-centered approach. First, I will start with the functional tradition. My example of this is the relationship I received with the store manager and my boss, Dana Knoll. This was extremely effective because Dana's been the manager at that specific store in McDonald for over 10 years. This gives her over a decade management experience as well as credibility. And in regards for the meaning-centered approach, my example is of a ritual that is done nightly at the store. Typically before we close the store, we are instructed to document all of the scratch-off lottery tickets numbers. So each lottery ticket is associated a specific number of that ticket in a rule. So it starts on 0, some end on 25. So if it starts on 0 and ends on 25 and it's a $5 ticket, I have to track that ticket sold all 25 tickets at $5 a piece and do the math. Then I have to do this process for over 40 different lottery tickets. It is a tedious process, but I do believe it is effective in creating the personality of this organization, because this organization tends to be extremely organized based and continues to improve our counting and math skills, which is a huge factor for being a cashier. The second half of this presentation, I'm required to look at my organization's communication through the use of theories and network rules. So the first theory that I looked at was Weber's notion of bureaucracy, and my example comes in the form of a regulation. Regulation being to ask for physical identification for anyone purchasing alcohol or tobacco that seems to look younger than 40. This is not only a store regulation, but a federal regulation for all gas station companies. I do find this to be extremely effective because it ensures that we don't sell any alcohol or tobacco to minors or anyone that comes in with an ID that is not real. We are able to see that and have that situation handled. And then in regards to the human behavior school, I used Hawthorne's effect of a norm that influenced the organization's productivity. The thing that I noticed that seems to boost productivity in the workplace is on those busy weekends and busy rush days that we have two people closing the store. This ensures that one person doesn't feel overwhelmed with all of the store responsibilities, cleaning duties, paperwork, and having that other person helps divvy those responsibilities to make the night just easier and smoother sailing. In regards to the communication network rules, the one example of a network role that is played throughout the organization is my boss, Dana, who is also the store manager. I would classify her as a bridge because she relays the messages from corporate and from the owner directly to us, her employees. And this is extremely beneficial and effective because over her 10 years with this specific company, she knows what exactly the corporate is trying to say to us and what's the best way to approach these new obstacles or focuses that corporate is offering to all of its stores. So she's really good at not beating around the bush with stuff and being very direct with us that what she needs to see from us, so she can take that and give it to corporate to let them know how we're doing as a store. Lastly, I will be analyzing my organization's communication through leadership power bases and their approaches to conflict. In terms of my boss, the power base that I associate her with is a legitimate power, because she's been solely responsible for that McDonald's Fast Track for over 10 years. She has an extremely tight and productive relationship with corporate and the owners. She has hired over hundreds of people in her 10-year span. In terms of an example of her power is that recently, with all the COVID guidelines, we are required that if you enter our store, you must have a face mask of some sort. We had a customer who was very adamant about not wearing a face mask, and she was trying to follow the guidelines and took it very serious and told this guy he can't come in her store unless he has a mask. And this was effective because she's been in that area for such a long time in such a small community where everyone knows everyone. So she has extremely close relationships with her customers and patrons. So they listen to her because they know how hard she works at this store. And in regards to conflict, one example of organizational conflict that I witnessed was fairly recently with an employee complaining about not getting enough hours at work. So the organization orientation to this conflict was to collaborate. More specifically, my boss reached out to that coworker and asked them, hey, let's see your schedule. Let's see if we can update it and get you some new hours. She's good at ending these sort of situations rapidly and not letting them spiral out of control. In closing, I hope this brings your attention and business to a fast track in your area. Once again, my mission of this presentation was to inform you about the several different aspects of organizational communication from my experience at the Fast Track in McDonald, Ohio. To review, I started the presentation by highlighting organizational communication from the functional tradition and the meeting-centered approach. Then I continued my focus on the organization's communication through the use of theories and communication network rules. Then I closed my presentation by examining the organization's communication through the concept of leadership power bases and approaches to conflict. This has been my organizational presentation on the Fast Track located in McDonald, Ohio. I hope you enjoyed and consider supporting your local Fast Track.